The mournful wail of the wind sweeping across the barren plains matched the hollow feeling in Olivia O'Connor's heart as she clutched her threadbare shawl tighter around her thin shoulders. The year was 1878, and the promise of a new life in the West had turned to ashes along with the fever-ridden body of her husband James, buried just 3 weeks prior under the unforgiving New Mexico soil. Olivia stared at the horizon where the setting sun painted the sky in hues of amber and crimson. Her wagon had broken an axle 10 miles back, and with her meager possessions bundled into a single trunk, she had walked until her boots were worn and her feet blistered. The small ranch house in the distance was her last hope before nightfall brought the desert's deadly chill. As she approached the weathered wooden structure, Olivia noticed the smoke curling from the chimney and the soft glow of lamplight in the windows. A man emerged from the barn, tall and broad-shouldered, his face shadowed by a wide-brimmed hat. A large cattle dog trotted at his heels, ears perked at the sight of the stranger. "Evening, madam," the man called, his voice deep but gentle as he approached. "You look like you've had a hard journey." "I have indeed, sir," Olivia replied, mustering what dignity she could despite her disheveled appearance. "My name is Olivia O'Connor. My wagon broke down miles back, and I've been walking since midday." The man removed his hat, revealing sun-bronzed features and eyes the color of a summer sky. "Cole Zimmerman," he introduced himself. "This is my ranch, the Double Z." He glanced at her trunk, then back at her face, noting the dark circles under her eyes and the grief etched into her features. "You're welcome to rest here for the night." "I can work," Olivia said quickly, pride straightening her spine despite her exhaustion. "I'm not looking for charity. I can cook, clean, mend whatever you need in exchange for shelter until I can make my way to Santa Fe." Cole's expression softened as he studied the woman before him. Her auburn hair had escaped its pins, and dust covered her mourning clothes, but there was a determination in her green eyes that spoke of inner strength. "I reckon you've worked enough for one day, Mrs. O'Connor," he said, taking the handle of her trunk. "Rest in my home tonight and we'll talk more in the morning." Olivia hesitated, not accustomed to accepting help without giving something in return. "Are you certain? I wouldn't want to impose." "I'm certain," Cole affirmed, already walking toward the house with her trunk. "My sister Clara left a trunk of clothes when she married and moved to Denver. You're welcome to anything that might fit. There's hot stew on the stove and you can have the spare bedroom." Tears pricked at Olivia's eyes, but she blinked them away. "Thank you, Mr. Zimmerman. Your kindness won't be forgotten." The interior of the ranch house was simple but comfortable, with a large stone fireplace, solid wooden furniture, and shelves lined with books, a surprising luxury on the frontier. Cole showed her to a small but clean bedroom and left her to wash up while he tended to evening chores. When Olivia emerged, dressed in a borrowed cotton dress that hung slightly loose on her frame, she found a bowl of steaming stew waiting on the table, along with freshly baked bread and a cup of hot coffee. "I hope you don't mind eating in the kitchen," Cole said, somewhat apologetically. "I don't stand on ceremony much out here. It's perfect," Olivia assured him, inhaling the savory aroma of the stew, "and it smells wonderful." She hadn't realized how hungry she was until the food was before her. As they ate, Cole inquired gently about her circumstances, and Olivia found herself telling him about James, their dreams of starting a farm in New Mexico territory, and how swiftly consumption had claimed him after they'd traveled so far. "I'm sorry for your loss," Cole said, genuine compassion in his voice. "The frontier is unforgiving to those who come unprepared." "We thought we were prepared," Olivia said softly. James had saved for years, but between the journey and the doctors, Cole nodded understanding. "And now you're headed to Santa Fe. My cousin has a boarding house there. She's offered me a position, though the pay will be modest." Cole seemed to consider this information as he poured her another cup of coffee. "The next supply wagon won't pass through for at least a week. You're welcome to stay until then." That's very generous, but I couldn't, Mrs. O'Connor, Cole interrupted gently. You've had a difficult time. Allow yourself to recover your strength before continuing your journey. Olivia looked down at her empty bowl, conflicted. I would feel better if I could earn my keep somehow. Cole studied her for a moment before nodding. If it would ease your mind, I could use help with some mending and perhaps organizing my sister's old room. It's become something of a storage space since she left. Relief washed over Olivia. I would be happy to help with that. That night, lying in a real bed for the first time in months, Olivia found herself thinking about Cole Zimmerman. His quiet strength reminded her of James, yet there was something different about him, a solitary quality, as if he'd grown accustomed to his own company. Despite her exhaustion, sleep was elusive as she wondered about the man who had so readily opened his home to a stranger. The morning brought clear skies and the sounds of ranch-life, cattle lowing in the distance, chickens clucking in the yard, and the rhythmic chopping of wood. Olivia dressed quickly and found Cole in the kitchen, frying bacon. "Good morning," he greeted her. "I hope you slept well." "Better than I have in weeks," Olivia admitted. "May I help with breakfast?" Cole nodded, and they worked together companionably, Olivia mixing biscuit dough while Cole tended the coffee and bacon. It felt strangely natural, moving around the kitchen together, and Olivia pushed away the guilt that accompanied that thought. James had only been gone 3 weeks. It wasn't right to feel comfortable in another man's home. After breakfast, Cole showed her around the ranch, the barn with its 6 horses, the small herd of cattle grazing on the surrounding grassland, the vegetable garden that had seen better days, and the chicken coop where a dozen hens pecked contentedly. "It's a fine spread," Olivia observed. "Do you manage it alone?" "I have 2 ranch hands, Pedro and Hank, but they're driving cattle to market in Albuquerque. They'll be back in about 10 days. Cole paused, looking out over his land. "It's not the biggest ranch in the territory, but it's mine, paid for in full last year." There was quiet pride in his voice, and Olivia felt a spark of admiration. "That's an accomplishment worth celebrating, Mr. Zimmerman." "Cole," he corrected her, "if you're going to be staying a while, we might as well dispense with formalities." "Cole," she repeated, and then added, "I'm Olivia." True to her word, Olivia spent the day organizing Clara's old room, sorting through boxes of books, fabric, and household items that had accumulated over the years. She found herself enjoying the work, taking satisfaction in bringing order to the chaos. By late afternoon, the room was transformed, with items neatly categorized and the floor visible once more. Cole whistled when he saw the improvement. Clara would be impressed. "She tried to get me to sort through this room for years." "It needed a woman's touch," Olivia said, then blushed at her own words. "I mean, you're right," Cole said with a small smile. "This whole house could use a woman's touch." There was something in his eyes as he looked at her, not improper, but appreciative, as if seeing her in a new light. The days fell into a comfortable rhythm. Olivia cooked and cleaned, mended Cole's shirts, and even began tending the neglected vegetable garden. Cole worked with the horses, repaired fences, and spent long hours riding the perimeter of his property. In the evenings, they would sit by the fire, sometimes reading, sometimes talking about their lives before the frontier had shaped them. Olivia learned that Cole had come west after the war between the states, seeking a fresh start away from the devastated Tennessee farm where he'd grown up. He'd worked cattle drives and saved every penny until he could buy his own land 5 years ago. What about family? Olivia asked one evening as they sat drinking coffee after dinner. "Just your sister, Clara?" Cole's expression grew somber. "Lost my parents to typhoid in '65, right after I got back from the war. My younger brother Daniel rode with me on cattle drives for a few years, but he took a bullet in a saloon brawl in Dodge City in '71. "I'm sorry," Olivia said softly, understanding all too well the pain of loss. Cole shrugged, but the movement couldn't disguise the hurt in his eyes. "That's the way of things out here. Life is precious and often short." On the 5th day of Olivia's stay, trouble arrived in the form of 3 dusty riders who approached the ranch house just before noon. Cole was checking fence lines on the far side of the property, and Olivia was hanging laundry when she spotted them. Something in their posture and the way they surveyed the property sent a chill down her spine. They didn't look like ordinary travelers seeking directions or water. The leader, a man with a pockmarked face and cold eyes, dismounted and approached her. "Afternoon, madam. This the Zimmerman place?" "It is," Olivia replied cautiously, moving back toward the porch where Cole kept a shotgun. "Mr. Zimmerman isn't here at the moment." The man smiled, revealing tobacco-stained teeth. "That's a shame. We're old friends come to collect on a debt." Olivia doubted very much that these men were friends of Cole's. "He'll be back shortly. You're welcome to wait by the road." The man chuckled, exchanging glances with his companions. "Feisty little thing, ain't she? Zimmerman's got himself a new woman, boys." He turned back to Olivia. "We'll wait right here if it's all the same to you." Before Olivia could respond, the sound of hoofbeats announced Cole's return. He rode in fast, his expression hardening when he saw the visitors. "Tate," he acknowledged the leader coldly as he dismounted, "didn't expect to see you this side of a prison cell." "Got out early for good behavior," Tate drawled. "Thought I'd pay my old trail boss a visit." Cole positioned himself between the men and Olivia. "Whatever you want, you won't find it here." Tate's smile disappeared. "Oh, I think I will. You see, I've been thinking about our last cattle drive together. The one where you turned me in for rustling, cost me 3 years of my life." "You were stealing cattle," Cole said flatly. "You're lucky the rancher didn't shoot you on sight." "Maybe," Tate conceded, "but I figure you owe me for those 3 years. Say the price of 50 head of cattle ought to square us." Cole's laugh was humorless. "You must have taken too many blows to the head in prison. You'll get nothing from me." Tate's hand moved to his gun. "We'll see about that." Olivia had been inching toward the porch, and now she made a dash for the shotgun. One of Tate's companions moved to intercept her, but Cole was faster, drawing his revolver and firing a warning shot into the ground at the man's feet. "Next one won't miss," Cole warned, his voice deadly calm. "Now, all of you get back on your horses and ride out." For a tense moment, Olivia thought Tate would draw his gun, but something in Cole's steady gaze must have convinced him the odds weren't in his favor. With a curse, he backed toward his horse. "This isn't over, Zimmerman," Tate spat. "We'll be seeing you again." "I'll be waiting," Cole replied evenly. The 3 men mounted up and rode away, but not before Tate gave Olivia a look that made her skin crawl. When they were out of sight, Cole holstered his revolver and turned to Olivia, concern etched on his face. "Are you all right?" She nodded, though her heart was still pounding. "Who were they?" "Trouble," Cole said grimly. "Tate worked for me on a cattle drive years back, caught him stealing from the herd and turned him in." He ran a hand through his hair. "I should have known he'd come looking for revenge eventually." "Will they come back?" Olivia asked, glancing nervously at the horizon. "Probably," Cole admitted. "But not right away. Tate's a coward at heart. He'll wait until he thinks he has the advantage." That evening, Cole cleaned his rifles and checked the ammunition. Olivia watched him, aware that her presence complicated his situation. "Perhaps I should leave for Santa Fe tomorrow," she suggested reluctantly. "I wouldn't want to be a burden if there's going to be trouble." Cole looked up from his work, surprise evident in his expression. "You're not a burden, Olivia, and I wouldn't send you off alone, especially not with Tate and his gang in the area." "But if they come back, we'll deal with them," Cole said firmly. "Pedro and Hank will be returning soon. We'll be fine." Olivia wasn't entirely convinced, but she nodded, secretly relieved. The thought of leaving Cole and the safety of his home was more distressing than she wanted to admit, even to herself. That night, she found it difficult to sleep, her mind replaying the confrontation and imagining worse scenarios. Eventually, she rose and wrapped herself in a shawl, intending to make a cup of tea to calm her nerves. She was surprised to find Cole still awake, sitting at the kitchen table with a cup of coffee and an old ledger open before him. "Couldn't sleep," he asked softly. Olivia shook her head. Too much thinking. Cole nodded understanding and rose to put the kettle on for her tea. I find night brings all the worries that daylight keeps at bay. What are you working on? Olivia asked, nodding toward the ledger. Just going over the books. The cattle I sent to market should bring a good price if Hank negotiated well. Enough to hire another hand, maybe improve the north pasture. Olivia sat across from him, watching as he explained his plans for the ranch. There was something captivating about his quiet confidence, his clear vision for the future. You've built something remarkable here, she observed. Most men would need a partner for such an undertaking. A shadow crossed Cole's face. I was engaged once before I bought this place. Sarah was a school teacher in Albuquerque. He hesitated. She decided the ranching life wasn't for her after all. Olivia reached across the table and touched his hand briefly. Her loss, I'd say. Their eyes met, and something passed between them, an understanding, a connection that went beyond words. Cole cleared his throat and looked away first, but his hand turned to capture hers briefly before letting go. What about you? He asked. Did you always dream of coming west? Olivia smiled sadly. James had the dream, I followed because I loved him. But now. She gazed around the kitchen at the home she'd helped care for these past days. Now I'm beginning to understand the appeal of this life. There's a freedom here, a chance to build something of your own. The kettle whistled, breaking the moment. As Cole prepared her tea, Olivia found herself studying his profile, noticing the strength in his hands, the kindness in his eyes when he looked at her. It was too soon after James, she knew that. And yet, she couldn't deny the warmth that spread through her whenever Cole was near. 3 more days passed without sign of Tate and his men. Olivia continued her work around the ranch, taking particular pride in the garden, which was now free of weeds and showing signs of new growth. Cole had been teaching her to ride one of his gentler mares, and she was beginning to enjoy their daily excursions around the property. On the 8th day of her stay, they rode to a small stream that cut across the eastern edge of Cole's land. Cottonwood trees provided shade, and wildflowers dotted the banks. It was a peaceful spot, and they dismounted to let the horses drink. I used to come here often when I first bought the ranch, Cole said, skipping a stone across the water. When the work seemed overwhelming or the loneliness too heavy. Olivia watched him, sensing there was more he wanted to say. It's been different having you here, he continued, his eyes on the horizon. Better, Olivia's heart quickened. I've felt the same. Cole turned to face her fully. Your cousin's boarding house in Santa Fe, is that really what you want? It seemed the only option when James died, Olivia admitted. I had nowhere else to go. You could stay, Cole said simply. Here, Olivia's breath caught. As what, Cole? He stepped closer, his eyes searching hers. As whatever you want to be, a partner, a friend. He took her hand gently. Maybe someday something more, if that's what you want too. Olivia felt tears gathering in her eyes. It's only been a month since James died. I don't know if it's right to feel this way so soon. Grief doesn't follow rules, Olivia, Cole said softly. And life out here is too uncertain to waste time denying what we feel. He was right, Olivia knew. The frontier didn't allow for the luxury of extended mourning periods or societal conventions. Life and death existed side by side, making every moment precious. I would like to stay, she whispered, her voice steadier than she expected. To see where this might lead. Cole's smile transformed his face, erasing years of solitude. Slowly, giving her every chance to pull away, he leaned down and kissed her. It was gentle, almost reverential, and Olivia felt something inside her that had been frozen begin to thaw. When they returned to the ranch, they found Pedro and Hank had returned early from Albuquerque. The 2 ranch hands greeted Olivia warmly, clearly approving of her presence, and shared news from town, including rumors that Tate and his gang had been involved in a failed bank robbery in a neighboring settlement. Marshals got a posse after them, Hank reported. Heading south, last anyone heard. The news brought relief, though Cole remained vigilant, unwilling to believe the threat was entirely past. His caution proved justified 3 days later when Tate and 5 men more than before approached the ranch just before dawn. Cole spotted them from the upstairs window while Olivia was preparing breakfast. "Get Pedro and Hank," he told her calmly, "and then stay inside, away from the windows." Olivia's heart raced as she alerted the ranch hands, who quickly armed themselves and took positions around the house. Through a gap in the curtains, she watched as Cole stepped onto the porch, rifle in hand. "That's far enough, Tate," Cole called when the riders were within earshot. Tate reined in his horse, eyes narrowing as he took in the defended position. "Just came to finish our conversation, Zimmerman." "I see you've got your hands back, makes things more interesting." "Turn around and ride out," Cole said evenly. "The marshal already knows about the bank robbery. There's a price on your head now." Tate spat on the ground. "All the more reason to settle scores before heading south." "Boys, spread out." As the riders began to move to surround the house, a shot rang out from where Pedro was positioned by the barn. One of Tate's men cried out, clutching his shoulder. "Next one's in your heart," Pedro shouted. "Boss said to leave." For a tense moment, it seemed Tate might order an attack despite being outmaneuvered. Then, cursing viciously, he jerked his horse around. "This ain't over, Zimmerman, watch your back," the gang retreated, taking their wounded companion with them. Once they were out of sight, Cole came back inside, his expression grim. "We need to alert the marshal," he told Hank. "Ride to town, let him know Tate's headed this way. Pedro, keep watch from the barn roof. They might double back." Hank nodded and hurried out. Cole turned to find Olivia watching him, her face pale but composed. "Are you all right?" he asked, setting his rifle aside. She nodded. "Just worried for you." Cole's expression softened. He crossed to her and took her hands in his. "I'm sorry you got caught up in this. It's not the peaceful life I wanted to offer you." "Life is rarely peaceful," Olivia said with a small smile, "and I'd rather face danger at your side than safety alone." Cole touched her cheek gently. "When this is over, when Tate's no longer a threat. I want to build a real future with you, Olivia, if you'll have me." "I will," she promised, leaning into his touch. "Whatever comes." They spent the day preparing for another possible attack, but it never came. Instead, just before sunset, a group of riders approached the marshal from town and his deputies, with Hank riding alongside. "Caught up to Tate and his gang 10 miles south of here," the marshal reported. "There was a shootout. Tate and 2 others won't be troubling anyone again. The rest are in custody." Relief washed over the ranch. That night, for the first time since her arrival, Olivia felt truly at peace as she sat beside Cole on the porch, watching the stars emerge. "What happens now?" she asked softly. Cole took her hand, his thumb tracing circles on her palm. "Now we build something together, day by day." 2 months later, on a crisp autumn morning, Olivia O'Connor became Olivia Zimmerman in a simple ceremony in the town church. Clara returned from Denver for the occasion, delighted to find her brother had finally found happiness. "The house looks better than it ever did when I lived there," she teased Olivia during the small reception at the ranch. "And I've never seen Cole smile so much." Olivia watched her husband, the word still new and wonderful, as he laughed with the ranch hands. "He gave me shelter when I had nowhere to go," she said softly. "How could I not love him?" That night, as they stood together in their bedroom, now truly shared, Cole took Olivia's face in his hands. "I never thought I'd find someone who understood this life, who would choose it willingly." "I never thought I'd find a second chance at happiness," Olivia replied, reaching up to touch his face. "You told me to rest in your home that first night, but you've given me so much more: a purpose, a future." "And love," Cole whispered against her lips. "Don't forget love." As winter settled over the ranch, bringing snow to the distant mountains and quiet evenings by the fire, Olivia's grief for James gradually transformed into a gentle memory. No longer raw, but a part of what had shaped her journey. The vegetable garden lay dormant under a layer of straw, waiting for spring. Inside, the house had become truly a home, their home, with curtains Olivia had sewn, rugs she had woven, and photographs of their wedding day displayed proudly on the mantel. In February, when the wind howled around the eaves and snow blanketed the pastures, Olivia shared news that brought tears of joy to Cole's eyes. They would be welcoming a child by late summer. A son or daughter to share this land with, Cole marveled, his hand resting gently on her still flat stomach. To teach them everything we know. To love them as we love each other, Olivia added, covering his hand with her own. As the seasons changed and Olivia's body transformed, the ranch prospered. Cole hired 2 more hands, expanded the herd, and built a new room onto the house for the coming child. Olivia planted fruit trees near the stream and started a small business selling preserves and baked goods in town, establishing friendships with other ranch wives and building a community connection that had been missing from Cole's solitary existence. Their daughter, Emma Claire Zimmerman, arrived on a hot August evening with her father's blue eyes and her mother's auburn hair. As Olivia held her newborn child in the bedroom where she had once rested as a grieving widow, she marveled at how life could change so completely in just over a year. Cole sat beside them on the bed, wonder etched on his face as he counted tiny fingers and toes. "She's perfect," he whispered, his voice thick with emotion. "She is," Olivia agreed, leaning against his shoulder. "And so is this life we've built." Outside the window, the sun set over the land they both loved, painting the sky in the same colors Olivia had seen on that first desperate evening when she'd approached a stranger's home seeking shelter. But the hollow feeling in her heart was long gone, replaced by a fullness she had never thought possible again. "Thank you," Cole said suddenly, pressing a kiss to her temple. "For what?" Olivia asked, smiling down at their sleeping daughter. "For staying. For making this house a home. For giving me a family." His voice broke slightly on the last word. Olivia turned her face up to his. "Thank you for telling me to rest when all I wanted to do was work, for seeing my worth beyond what I could do for you." "I saw your heart," Cole said simply. "Everything else just followed." As darkness settled over the ranch, the small family remained together in the soft lamplight, the beginning of a legacy that would endure through the changing landscape of the frontier and beyond. What had started as an act of kindness shelter offered to a weary traveler had blossomed into a love strong enough to weather any storm the Wild West could bring.